Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
I assume Tom.
Today, I get to revisit the Full Moon Features family with one of their newest stars who's part of this, how do I put this, sci-fi erotic comedy, former elementary school teacher turned adult risque performer is the easiest way to put it. Lexi Luna, how are you today?
Hi, doing well. How are you guys?
You know, can't complain. The episode 2 of Cassex has come out through Full Moon Features. We've seen the first one. They don't let me see past the first or the second one if it's multi-featured because they know I'm probably going to give away too many spoilers. But take us through the process. You know, you auditioned for the role, or did Lindsey call you? You know, and fill us in on Cassex itself.
Sure. So I worked with Tanya Tate, who was the casting director, and she was like, hey, I think you'd be great for this. So I submitted, before we even had sides to read or anything like that, I submitted a little like intro tape, me just basically donning the accent and just saying something that I think Cassandra would say. And it was I wore this like hot pink fuzzy dress. It was very 80s, and I teased my hair, and it was like crazy. So I put in a lot of effort to like be recognized, right? Because I wanted to impress. And Lindsey loved it, so it totally worked. And I was able to snag the role thanks to just like being able to feel like I am Cassandra in some ways. And so I really felt a connection with this character. Excuse me just a second. Okay. And so then, you know, going through all the emotional roller coaster of the casting, and I read for other parts as well. They had me read for 2 other parts, the part of Doreen Dukes and Maya Llewellyn. And yeah, so I got Cassandra, and I was on my way to Vegas for another shoot doing something else. And it said like, Lexi Luna, welcome to Cassex. And I was like, oh, I got it. So it was kind of like, I've never gotten a role before. So this was a really big first for me, and it was really exciting. And then getting on set and seeing everybody so fucking professional was awesome. It was really cool to be on a professional set like that. Because, you know, in porn, we're usually just a couple cameras and, you know, 3 people on set. So it's not that crazy. But yeah, it was really awesome to work with Lindsey, and everybody, the whole crew was very professional, very on point, knew what they were doing. So it kind of made everybody bring their A games, and it was, you know, next level stuff for me.
It sounds like you guys had a good time. I know we've been doing Full Moon Feature set visits a couple of times this past year. I know the safety precautions that they take to make sure everybody's taken care of health-wise, especially with COVID, all the testing that goes in with it. Take us through the safety precautions that they took, and especially dealing with that Las Vegas weather, because, you know, it's not the coldest city in the world.
Yeah, it was rough, mostly for the dryness, not even so much for the temperatures, because, you know, I live in Florida. So for me, that's complete opposite of what I'm used to. You know, they say it's a dry heat, and it is, but it also means it's a very like dry hair, and your skin doesn't like it, and all that kind of stuff. So that was really the hardest part for me. But we all tested. We were all COVID tested during the production, and there was mask wearing, and we had hand sanitizer station. Like everything was great. I felt very safe. Very similar precautions that were taken on sets that I had worked with previously in LA and in Vegas. So I was very pleased with the safety precautions we had.
Nice. Well, take us through the story itself. You play Cassandra Essex, who either has long passed, because, you know, we're not going to go further than episode 1, or has embodied something within the machine. That's as much of a teaser as we'll give with that. And was essentially a revolutionary. You were giving makeup tips and essentially being an influencer via video cassette in the 1980s, doing makeovers in comparison to what we see now every day on Instagram or TikTok or wherever else.
Right. Yeah. So Cassandra was the original YouTuber when I really think about it. And it's like sex tips from a glamour goddess. And she's just so very elegant and so knows what she wants. She's a woman in charge, and she's like ruling this videoverse, so to speak.
did you come up with the accent yourself, or was that part of the character, like to make her Eastern European from the get-go? How did that all work out?
So my email description of Cassandra Essex was like to think of an Eastern European like sex goddess. And to me, like the accent just seemed like something that should be there. Right. And then I'm looking at other productions that Lindsey Schmitz has done. And I'm like, I think he'd really like the accent. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm already in this pink fuzzy dress with my hair teased. Like, let's turn on the accent. So I did it just kind of on my own, and they ended up loving it. And there was actually an interview that we did with the cast for Full Moon Features. And it was really interesting because they didn't realize that it wasn't my real accent. Charles Band was there, and he's like, oh, I didn't know that wasn't really how you spoke. And I'm like, really? Because I felt like I was doing a campy enough job of this accent that it was really not fantastic. But fans have loved it so far.
Right. It was like Hogan Heroes Russian Spy meets Zsa Zsa Gabor with your accent. So it was pretty campy over the top.
For sure. But, you know, like, we're in this to have fun. And yeah, we made a great show, but it was a lot of fun. And part of that fun was what each actor brought with them.
Right. And for people that don't know, since you just mentioned Charles Band, the king of indie films, and who I respect more than anybody because he owns all his own property and all his own rights, he's got a book coming out soon. So we got to give a shout out to Charles and his writing abilities, not only for screenplays, but also as an author.
Yeah, for sure. It was really cool to meet him, and it was really cool to watch him and Lindsey kind of like mess with each other on set and all that kind of stuff. So it was nice to see like the full family, I guess.
All right, we're gonna put you on the spot here real quick because I'm a former educator myself. I taught 7th and 8th grade U.S. and world history, and I also taught at the university level. Who are more immature, elementary school kids and their parents, or actors?
Definitely the parents. It's the parents, hands down. It's not even the kids. Like, you expect it from them, but the parents are really the ones. Like, I got in trouble once for not giving a voluntary snack time to students because they had taken so much time like lining up and doing like regular school stuff that I was like, you guys don't get snack today. We just ran out of time because you took so long doing this other thing. And it's like, that's a natural consequence. And I got so many emails about that.
Sounds like it. I used to avoid the teachers' lounge because this was when Jersey Shore was the big show, and the principal got mad at me that I stopped eating lunch with the other teachers. And I said, listen, you know, she finally harassed me into confessing the truth. And I said, listen, I can listen to 13-year-olds talk about Jersey Shore, or I can listen to 30-year-olds talk about Jersey Shore. Either way, I don't give a you know what about Jersey Shore. And she looks at me and she goes, I watch Jersey Shore. I was like, yeah, that's my luck. Yeah, I'm gonna get chastised for something that you enjoy. So, you know.
That's right on cue.
Yeah. So homeschool your kids if you can. That's just the advice from 2 former educators at this point.
For sure. A lot of parents saw how difficult it was during the pandemic to actually be a teacher. So it kind of felt a little bit like, haha, take that, parents, this last year and a half. But, you know, I haven't been in education in over 6 years. So I'm happy to be on the other side.
Well, on the bright side, now you get to wear that pink outfit running around chastising parents who didn't give their kids snack or nap time.
I think I got the better end of the deal there.
So real quick, you know, the transition from your previous life to your current work and now going into more legit films. This is, you know, well, that's what they're calling them, is more legit, you know, so we'll use the terminology. You know, Lexi Luna and the evolution from educator through adult films through now more legit, well, first erotica and legit, you know, a la Tracy Lords, except, you know, not almost destroying the industry because you lied about your age. You know, who were you, who are you, and who are you becoming?
So I was really just a small town girl living in a big town. Like, I felt like I didn't know anybody, but I went to a really big school and I got my degree from a big university and all that kind of stuff. And then I just never really like traveled. I never really did anything. I just was a teacher making $35,000 a year and not really being able to do anything. So I got an opportunity to go to Orlando, Florida, and take a teaching job. And it was like on a whim. So I applied and I was like, I'll never get it, right? Like it's a whole state, like several states away. I have to do a whole lot to really make this work. But they hired me and I packed up my little car and drove myself the 14 hours that it was down and started a new life. And then I started getting more into fetish community stuff. And I started discovering my fetishes and my kinks and doing all that stuff safely, consensually, as insanely as I could. And, you know, through all of that, just being more open-minded, I just gained a different perspective on the world and a different perspective on sexuality. And once I was in Orlando, just the difference from Indiana to Florida, just seeing so many different people from different backgrounds really opened my eyes to something I was more interested in and just exploring different people. So then once I got the opportunity through fetlife.com, where I got recruited, I said, you know what, I'm the most junior teacher. That means I'm the first one out of here. So my contract did not get renewed. And I was like, I'll just do this over the summer, because this was in May that I got the opportunity. I was like, school's almost over. I'll just do a little bit of porn over the summer, see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, I can always come back. And I never looked back. And 6 years later, here I am. And now I'm like this strong, independent woman with a brand, and I'm doing all these things. And it really is empowering. And I really love working for myself. I love the team that I have. I just everybody that I work with and who works for me just all want the same thing, and that is to grow the brand and to be, you know, part of the good side of this industry. So it's just really become an evolution of this like strong, powerful woman, which is kind of what Cassandra Essex is. She is like the end goal for what I want to be. So it was really cool to be able to like put all of my effort into making her come to life and just like being the best cast that I could be.
So now if we talk to Lindsey and pitch Cassex Part 2, is that a possibility for you?
Oh, for sure. I'm 100% on board with this character. Like I would love to do this again. It was the most stressful and the most awesome experience of my life. I'd never had to learn that many lines, that much script. And then of course, you know, changes happen on set, and then you're like, oh no, I memorized it this way. And now I have to learn whole new sentences. And, you know, it was a little stressful, but at the same time, I think I learned that like, this is what I do. This is what we improv and we, you know, ad lib and do all these different things on set too. So it really like all 5 years of my porn career have led me to this moment where I can be flexible and let this flow and kind of like brush it off and be like, okay, well, I learned this really long line, but now it's this other thing. So it's going to be okay. We'll just like practice it a couple of times. And I mean, everything that we did, everybody nailed it. So it was just so awesome to see so many professionals working together.
Well, knowing Lindsey's sets and the way Charles Band runs his things, everyone's having a really good time on set. There's a lot of jokes being cracked. There's also some flubs that are going to be for some great outtakes. Is there anything that you could share with us that was either a flub that would be a great bonus feature that would end up in the credits, or something that like you had to do multiple takes of just because you or someone that you were performing with couldn't get the line or the moment right without cracking up?
There was one part where we were deciding, so I come in as the paramedic, and I have these aviator sunglasses on, and we were deciding whether or not I should take them down with one hand or if I should take them down with two hands. And I was like, I just want to, like, just one time, let me do it with two hands. So we reset everything, and I do the whole thing, and I come down and I take it down with one fucking hand. So he's like, this was your take. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. So I totally flubbed it because he was like, Lexi, we did all of this for you. But I don't know if it'll like work in outtakes, because it was kind of like the behind the scenes. I don't know if it got recorded that we were going to try it with two hands, and then I totally flubbed it, but it was fine. I got to use both, by the way. It's in the credits, in the opening credits. It's like this, and in the video, it's one. So.
And now you still own Leslie Dinner because of the flub and the extra take.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Going to Vegas in comparison to being in Florida or working in LA, the sets are usually relaxed but very professional with full moon features. And Cassandra Essex, the character itself, and Cassex, the series, the limited series, all seem to like have aspects of you and Lindsey and everybody else that's involved with it shine through. You know, from the other 5 years of working in adult entertainment to now working with memorizing scripts, what are the differences that you noticed in the performances that are needed, or how things are set up for you? Like, which one is more comfortable in a sense of professionalism?
I'm definitely more comfortable memorizing a script because I also depend on the cues from the other actors to say my next line. So typically when I get a script the morning that I'm shooting it, like we do mostly in adult entertainment, it's just not like the other person isn't giving me those keywords that I'm listening for. So then I don't remember where I am. And, you know, because you're memorizing very quickly. So you only have about an hour before you're actually rolling. So for me, it was great to know that like everybody else is going to be giving me the exact sentence that's on the page, and that it's going to cue me and it's all going to flow in together. Because sometimes when you're adding things in without it being in the script, you know, you pause for a little bit and then the other person starts to talk and then you weren't finished with your thoughts. So it just kind of jumbles and you talk over each other and it doesn't really work. So just knowing that the other person, even though I had a dramatic pause, they wouldn't say their next line because they know that it's not their time. So it was really great just being prepared. But, you know, as a teacher, like this is my thing. I love being prepared. I love to know what's coming up next. And I don't want to do things last minute. Like that changes the whole schedule up. But so I really enjoyed the predictability of what was going to happen.
Right. You had your own binder for each scene with your own lesson plans and diagrams and charts. And then once you got that set, the new version of the book comes out and you're screwed and you got to start all over again.
Pretty much.
And as you mentioned, you know, you were the last one hired, so they let you go without renewing your contract. For those that don't know, the typical phrase that we used, at least out here in California, last one hired, first one fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much. So that's in the teaching realm, especially in Florida, like there's no more tenure, things like that. So there were teachers who were still tenured from, you know, they got grandfathered in or whatever you want to call it. So even though they were terrible teachers, they couldn't be touched. So I really just had no choice. And so at the end of the day, they always wait till the end of the day to let you know that your contract's not renewed. So when the rest of my team by lunch had already had their meetings, I was like, I'm getting fired. Which, you know what? It was a blessing in disguise because I was not happy teaching. I was doing something that I thought was changing the world and it just is not. And I really love being able to teach adults about sex and love and relationships and, you know, plural and monogamy and non-monogamy and ethical ways of doing both of those things. So it's really fun for me to be able to talk with adults now about different topics and to feel like I'm making an impact on them. Because, you know, with students, you often don't know until years down the line how much impact you've actually made with them when they come back to visit you. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember you 12 years ago. And that just wasn't enough immediate satisfaction for me to feel like I could continue. And honestly, I didn't feel like I could retire from teaching because there just wasn't enough money in it. And I know that a lot of people say that we don't pay teachers enough, but I think over this pandemic, parents really realized how little teachers make and how much patience they need for how little they are compensated. So that was a little fun time in my life where I didn't have to make a decision between keeping my career and, you know, keeping my health.
Right. And on top of that, the phrase of "don't put that in your mouth" has a whole different meaning in both industries.
I know. Yeah. Luckily I didn't work with such little ones that they were putting things in their mouths, but yeah.
You know, so much is going on for you. I know part 2 of Cassex has dropped this weekend on Full Moon Features, which everyone needs to check out. And I'm not sure if they still have their deal where if you buy the year ahead of time, you get the Puppet Master box set, Blu-ray sent to you. But that was a great deal when that was still available. When we get a chance and we're scrolling through Full Moon Features after we paid our monthly subscription, why do we need to sit there and watch Cassex?
I feel like Cassex is very different from some of the other things that are there. And I feel like it's really hard to tell that we're adult performers in this movie because the cast is mainly adult performers. But the people who were chosen, I feel just are so able to be multiple roles that it's not just constantly like doing crazy porno stunts the whole time. People really took this seriously and we put a lot of fucking work into this and we love this. We love what we've done. We love doing it. It was so much fun. I think it'll exude off the screen how much we all just like worked together and everybody got along and the characters worked and the actors, you know, we knew it was going to be long days. We expected these things. So it wasn't, you don't see the exhaustion on screen. And it's just so fucking interesting. The editing on it is fantastic. It really draws you in. So if you're looking to get engulfed in something that's a little bit more believable, like I really feel like this could have happened, except for the whole blinking people in the VHS part. But you know, just it feels so real. And I guess that's kind of what we do. We make things feel real.
All right. Since I have you on here with me, pitch Lindsey the sequel to Cassex. How would that look?
I think Cassandra needs a female sidekick. I think she needs to have somebody who she takes under her wing, who she feels like can kind of carry on this legacy of Cassex, who can be as devious as she is, and kind of almost like a Cass in training. So that, I think that would be a really interesting twist to this whole thing, because then, you know, which character is it?
I dig it. I dig it. All right. Lexi Luna working with Full Moon Features. The name Luna and Full Moon, you know, we're playing off each other. We got to keep it going. Where can we find you on social media if we want to connect with you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lexi Luna XOXO, and I'm really shadow banned. So you just type it in and push search and you'll find me.
Perfect. Lexi Luna, thank you so much for your time. Star as Cassandra Essex and Cassex from Full Moon Features, available now, parts 1 and 2. Enjoy when you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.